Now in this module, we will study about the industrial sector on the eve of independence. On the eve of independence, industrial sector of India was backward and stagnant. Indian handicraft industry in 18th century was well developed. Particularly the Indian textile industry was well known throughout the world. And because of this, handicraft industry, especially the textile industry which was developed in Bengal province, Indian industries or the goods produced by the Indian industries were famous throughout the world. The muslin and printed calico was famous throughout the world due to its fine quality. They had their great demand in all countries of the world. Beside this, iron industries, gold, silver jewelry, ivory, marble carving, machinery, perfumery, stone cutting, precious stones, and some other industries were famous throughout the world. Whole world was getting fabulous quantity of the product from Indian industrial sector. This Indian industrial sector was able to provide prominent wealth not only to the ruler of that period in India, but also to the people, those who were living in the rural part of the India. Whenever we are talking about the 18th century, we should memorize at that period even this part which is known as Pakistan now at this time, and this part which is known as Bangladesh at this time was added, and altogether it was known as Hindustan. But the movement, Britishers came and they captured over the major part of Hindustan. They started to exploit this major part for the expansion of their own business. Since they were ruler, and new industries were being developed in the Great Britain, for which they were in need of not only raw material but also for new market. So they decided to convert this Hindustan according to the demand of the imperialist country. So for that, they implemented some discriminatory policies so that they must acquire maximum benefit by exploitation of this whole part, this whole territory. As a result of British policies, this Hindustan lagged behind in the growth of industrial sector. Britishers systematically destroyed handicraft industry, which was fabulous before the advent of them throughout the world, as well as they tried their best not to provide any modern industrial base to be set up in this Hindustan, because they were knowing the movement any chance would be provided by them to the people, those who are living in this Hindustan, their intention to maximize their profit by exploitation of this territory could not be fulfilled. So for that, they deindustrialized this major part systematically. For that, they implemented various policies in this Hindustan so that they must maximize their profit. For that, they did two basic work. They decided to do two basic work. First, to get raw material from Hindustan, to get raw material from Hindustan at the cheaper rate, so that they must maximize their profit, for which British government reduced India to mere exporter of raw material. Exporter of raw material pertaining to Great Britain, so that the industries which were being developed in this Great Britain must enjoy cheap raw materials with high quality, so that they must become able to minimize the cost of the product. Beside this, they decided to sell British manufactured goods in India. In this territory, so that they must enjoy big market for their newly developed industries. The biggest loss of India during the British rule was decline of world famous industrial sector, due to which this territory was famous throughout the world. Britishers adopted many measures to destroy the handicraft industry of this Hindustan. For that, they implemented various policies, out of which first is tariff-free export of raw material from India to Britain. Tariff-free export of raw material from India to Britain, because of which they started to enjoy cheap raw material with high quality for minimizing the cost of the product, as well as tariff-free import of British industrial products into, along with heavy duties of export of Indian handicraft industries, implied a loss of domestic as well as second, low cost and good quality of machine-made products of this Great Britain started to provide stiff competition to the industries which were related to the Hindustan and were producing products without having any protection from the contemporary government. Since they were not being protected, and the products which were coming from the Great Britain, they were being protected by the Britishers, because of this sector started to get lost at every level. Third, prior to the British rule, Nawabs and Rajas of this territory used to patronize the handicraft industries. They were patronizing the handicraft industry because they were getting profit from the business which was being done by the handicraft industry of that period. They were getting not only income from that industry, but also they were getting lot of precious goods from that industries, because of which they were getting sometime incredible products, and their richness were being allied. But advent of British rule meant disappearance of this princely court and consequently an end of state patronage. And since kings and nawabs disappeared from this territory and Britishers started to control this territory by their own efforts, by their own customary rules, therefore this handicraft industry started to get deterioration, because the products which were being produced by the handicraft industries, demand of all those started to decline. As a result, there was a decline in the demand of Indian handicraft industry. Whenever we are going to study about the decline of handicraft industry, we have to see the intention of the Britain. Since they were trader first, their main intention was to get maximum profit through the trade. So even after being the ruler of this much big territory, they never forget their main intention, which was trade, which was maximization of profit. So for this, they used their political power for destruction of Indian trade and expansion and promotion of British trade, British industries, British newly developed industries. Now we have to find out about the impact of decline of handicraft industry on the Indian economy. Whenever we are going to study about it, we see it created a large scale of unemployment in India. Unemployment in India, because due to decline of handicraft industries and due to lack of protection and promotion of industrial sector of Hindustan, those who were getting employment because of Hindustan's industrial sector, they all became unemployed, they all became helpless. So for their livelihood, they came back to the rural sector of India, to the agricultural sector of India. Agricultural sector of India. And this agricultural sector, which was under the burden of huge population, received extra burden on itself. This unemployment craftsmen, since migrated from urban area to rural area, so they provided adverse impact even on the agricultural sector in the village area, as well as the industrial sector which remained in the urban area was less in number, and the products which they were producing were not able to fulfill the demand of the people, those who were living in this big territory. Therefore, therefore, a new market for machine-made products of Britain emerged, which was fulfilled by the products produced by the industries of Great Britain only, due to which the wealth which was previously coming from rest of the world to India started to go from India to Great Britain only, due to which the India, which was previously known as center of trade, which was known as golden bird, started to be exploited at every level by the Britishers, because industrial sector of India was totally collapsed systematically by the people who came from Great Britain in India as a trader.